idea if you could sing or ever achieve your dreams of how you want to sing? This video and the tips in it is all you ever need to know if you are a beginner or a singing student. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I post a new video about music and vocal training. My name is Dr. Nina Soifer. I have been teaching vocals in 9 different styles for the last 22 years, and I have composed and released professionally hundreds of songs on all streaming platforms. And today I'm excited to help you gain the right attitude as a singing student or a beginner vocalist. Advice number 1. Listen to people who are professional music teachers who make their living from actually teaching how to sing or teaching vocal training. Not to people who are just good at singing or people who have experience or your friends or family or peers. No. Listen to people who teach singing as their job for a living. I have heard so many times while teaching in university and various studios about especially adult beginners thinking that they can never learn how to sing just because they were told so by people who are not professional teachers. And in the culture where I was born into, it's even decided sometimes in early childhood that the person is not meant to sing. And how they do it, they do a vocal training for untrained body. And then they make that decision, tell it to a child, and child grows up with these insecurities for life. Myself, when I was 3 years old, practicing my singing with a microphone, my parents told me that, hey, that sounds out of tune. I remember that. It goes deep when you're a child. And also when I was 18 or so years old, going through professional operatic singing as part of my master's degree or my undergraduate degree, I would practice some complicated vocal warm-ups from operatic singing, which is classical singing. And my family will say I sound like a wolf howling, and they would ask me to stop. But they didn't know that you need to do these exercises in order to truly develop your voice. And then when I was an adult, further in my studies, people started referring to my voice as the voice of angel, beautiful, healing, and all these beautiful words. But I started somewhere where people didn't like it. And that's because I learned to tune out the opinion of people who were not my teacher at the time and trusted my teachers. If I have listened to my friends and family at the time when I was training, I would never get there and not become a professional singer. My colleagues and friends who are of a high level of musical training today love the way I sing, and that is my first advice. Listen to your teacher. I hold PhD in music and music teaching, partially in vocal training. I have my own book of vocal warm-ups that you can actually download down below. But I have to tell you that it's so important. Trust your teacher and don't listen to anybody who is not a professional voice teacher. Your teacher's opinion is the only one you need to know as a beginner or a singing student. Advice number 2, do not drink soda or beverages that have these bubbles. I want you to also stop drinking cold liquids. Don't eat too much spicy food and don't have dairy, especially yogurt, before you have singing practice or performance. Remember not to start or not to schedule your voice lessons early in the morning. That's when your voice is still not warmed up and you are not fully woken up. Have them scheduled for afternoon or evening for the best results. And another advice number 3 is that you actually do not need to collapse your tummy as you're singing long notes. You don't need to become smaller with your stomach as you're singing long notes. As my power singing teacher, I would say, Mike Donovan taught me, you have to expand your rib cage, expand your stomach, and keep it expanded as you are singing a long note, because that will create an actual power in your singing. And classical singing is one of the highest forms of singing because it teaches healthy singing, it teaches all of the ranges of vocal training, and you can never hurt your voice if you're doing classical singing properly. Did you ever feel discouraged by your friends or family or just shy to sing in public? Comment down below and let me know. Advice number 4. Do you know about pop style of singing airy? like with a little air in your voice. Well, one of the best teachers in the world and the head of the Royal Conservatory of Music Vocal Department here, a friend of mine, Robert, was working with me when I was younger, many lessons on removing that airy voice sound, because that sound is actually, the way he explained it to me, it was not a proper connection between the vocal cords. They're a bit too far spaced, and that allows that like air to come through. It's highly often used in pop music, and it's actually not a very healthy way to sing. So my advice to you guys who are students in singing or beginners, do not try to sing airy and loud. Know that classical singing is one of the most important training that most good singers in the world, including Nina Simone and Whitney Houston, have undergone. But when you want to sing airy sound, know that it's not super healthy, and don't try to sing it loud. What you need to know, what you're hearing airy singing, it's very soothing maybe and pleasant, it's actually amplified through a microphone. So don't try to sing loud and airy, your voice will crack. If you want to sing loud and powerful, like Mike Donovan was teaching me, you need to use vibrato technique. If you are using vibrato technique, then your voice will travel through the room because these vibrations will add up throughout the room. But if you're singing airy, use the microphone to amplify your voice. And now the most important advice, number 5. If you don't know if you can actually sing in tune or you're singing a little out of tune, you need to ask your teacher for permission to record a voice note during your lesson. Also a tip from Mike Donovan. And you need to record a voice note on your cell phone, tablet, or your parent's cell phone during the voice lesson, and then go home and listen to it. Ask your teacher specifically to tell you when you are singing out of tune and when you're singing in tune. And when you do sing out of tune, do you go too flat or do you go too high? Tell them to specify if you were too high or too flat. That way, when you go home and you re-listen to that voice note, you're going to be able to start hearing what was off in your singing and understanding it. I really highly recommend that in your training for the pitch, or to be singing in tune, one of the most traditional ways to achieve it, of course, is to have inner hearing activated when you imagine the sound before you actually make it. But whatever approach your teacher takes, trust them, just ask them to make a voice note, and in that voice note to specify for you, oh, you were too high, or no, you were too flat. And do that as much as possible throughout the lesson. I cannot stress enough that this is the first thing you really need to focus all of your attention on. If you are not yet singing in tune, you really need to ask a teacher to do those voice notes and focus on that so much until you start hearing where is in tune, where is not in tune, and why it was not in tune. Was it too high, too low? Once you do that, then start learning all the different techniques and all the different songs and details, because singing in tune and not in tune will get that judgment that you don't want from your friends and peers out of the way. I know so many singers who are professional and work as singers. They may be not having an actual training, but they sing in tune, and that's what makes people feel good, because harmonious alignment between two frequencies creates a consonant, which is a pleasant frequency for our brain. Humans perceive these sounds as music, and when they align, they're considered to be an accord or in harmony. So if you can sing in tune, you and your friends will be happy. So focus on that with your teacher first. If you are struggling with where to start or not sure how to go about your voice training, you can always send me a quick email at ninamusicstudies@gmail.com, or you can book a one-on-one lesson online or in person by going to this website and just choosing the time length of your lesson. Hey, do not be discouraged if you didn't learn how to sing perfectly, beautifully, and loud on the first try. Singing is not just in your throat, it's in your stomach, it's in your chest, it's in your knees, it's in your entire body. Singing takes many lessons, many teachers, many songs, many performances, and if you are amazing at singing, you still could get a stage fright and not sing well on your first or second show. Yes, there are beautiful classical schools for singing, which I highly recommend, because classical singing is very healthy and good basis for any other style. But if you are on your own and you're just practicing, just try to have at least once a month a professional teacher who actually teaches voice for a living take you through some help and some techniques. Because the reason they are teachers is because we meant to have music lessons. Music is one of these traditions, like meditation and enlightenment, that's best to be learned from person to person. We have the Royal Conservatory of Music, we have universities, we have studios of music, we have so many resources across the world. If the person has at least a university degree and they have a good feedback from their community, I highly recommend you try out some teachers as opposed to self-learning on the YouTube, just to be sure that you actually don't have any reason to be embarrassed to sing, because once you're in the good hands of a professional teacher, you trusted yourself to someone who exactly knows what to do. You have to have a little faith and they'll take you there. Be sure to check out this playlist where I have tons of free vocal training lessons and warm-ups. The link to this playlist is also in the description. That was my advice as a professional singer to the beginners and singing students. I hope you guys have the best lessons possible. Trust your teachers, and I will see you next week.